All right. Welcome. Welcome to Storytime with Tiffany. Um Today I am very happy to be here. It took me a while to get into building this whole thing, and since yesterday I've had a hard time trying to focus and get the cameras and all that together. It's been tough, but I am here and I'm showing up because you guys are showing up for me as well. So I'm showing up for myself and I'm showing up for you guys regardless the aesthetic. Let's remember that. Today's episode 1 is called The Whole Truth. And will you get the whole truth today? No. There will be episodes and episodes for us to go through. But today we're going to talk about one, things that have aggravated me with people who I thought were my friends. Aggravating because I'm hanging out with people who I probably shouldn't hang out with because I'm bored, who actually really don't like me. I don't really dislike anybody, but I will dislike the things that you do, and then it'll make me dislike your character. But it is what it is. Nobody could be the perfect person, right? So you just take what you can get, and that's it. We're going to talk about, well, I'm going to try and talk about my brother, who is like he's like a god to me. And a lot of people would probably disagree, but we'll get into that one. And so let's start. We're going to start and talk about a story about this girl that I used to consider my friend, but we're just kind of like acquaintances now. Do I think she's a bad person? No. Do I think she has some shady antics about herself? 100,000% shady. Shade. Next, let's just get into it. So I'm friends with this girl. Well, I thought she was my friend. And right after I had my baby, we went out and we went to this little place. We ended up meeting this guy that in the valet that I had already known from previous years. He's pretty like famous NBA guy or whatever. Super cool guy. And he was with his boy who owned this record label. And so the guy was like, "Oh, you like a boss or whatever." This is just me fast forwarding, like getting to the story. So he's like, "Oh, you like a boss or whatever." I don't really like when guys say stuff like that because it just gives off the impressions of like this strong woman. And I'm not like, I don't want to be labeled as some strong woman, because being strong be having me crying in the shower when nobody's looking. Being strong is holding everything in that like I have done for the last 1,000 years. Not 1,000 years old, but you guys get it. And I'm tired. Okay. She is exhausted. She is exhausted from being in survival mode and all that. So I really didn't like that, but I was just like, whatever. We're eating, we're hanging out, everything's cool. She ends up getting both the guys' numbers. Her and I already knew the other guy, but she ended up getting both the guys' numbers. And then she also, her and I had also got the guy who owned the record label, his number. But it was just all friendly. It wasn't like he was trying to pick and choose who he wanted to talk. It was just friendly. Anyway, fast forward like 7 months later, I get a text and it's like, "Hey Tiffany, what's up? It was so good to meet you." And I was like, I haven't met anybody. I haven't met anybody in a long time. So I didn't understand like what that was about. But I was like, who is this? Like, I don't know you. And he was like, what do you mean you don't know me? I just met you. And I'm like, you did not just meet me. Nothing, right? So he sends a picture of himself, and I'm like, oh my God, like, what the heck? Is he trying to play? So I was like, immediately, like, oh, I know who you are. I was like, but you got the wrong Tiffany. You talked to my friend such and such. And he was like, oh, like, oh, my bad. I thought I'm in Miami right now, blah, blah, blah. So he calls my phone. And he's like, yeah, I'm in Miami right now. I met somebody named Tiffany, and I just texted the first Tiffany in my phone or whatever. I wasn't even thinking, like, whatever the case. Moving on. He starts talking about old girl, and I was just like, oh yeah, yeah, she did tell me that you guys went to Vegas, or she was in Vegas. She didn't tell me that she was in Vegas with him. She told me that she was going to Vegas. So I ended up finding out that she was in Vegas with him, which was still kind of like weird because, when you meet somebody, you usually be like, yeah, so that guy that I was hanging out with that we met, you usually tell your friends. No, he tells me. I was like, yeah, she told me, blah, blah, blah. He was like, oh, really? He was like, because she said she ain't talked to you in a minute. Really? That didn't really like sit well with me because I was just like, why would you even say that? But guess what? Some women, because not all women, because I bring in all the girls around. There is no competition. I'm not in competition with anybody, and nobody's any competition with me. You like who you like, and that's just it. Period. Ain't no competition. The reason why she probably said that was because she didn't want him to be like, oh, bring your home girl, and me outshine her. That's the only thing I could think of is why she would be like, I ain't talked to her. I haven't talked to her in a long time. What? I'm like, excuse me? I talk to her every damn day. Like, literally, I talk to her every day. He was like, oh. Silence. So that was it. I never talked to the guy again or whatever. He was like, I'm so sorry for, being rude in text, acting like, that, it was a total innocent, whatever. I never talked to him again. It was cool. Nothing. Moving fast forward. I don't say anything. I'm just like, whatever. Like, whatever. I don't say nothing. But it's still in the back of my mind. I'm always going to remember that. And I usually hold things in before I release them. And I'm learning not to do that because it turns into like a tornado of drama. And that's just not cool. At this age is not cool. Like you got to learn how to control yourself. And so I learned how to control myself. Fast forward. We're in Beverly Hills. We're hanging out. We go to this little thing. We end up meeting this guy, 2 guys at the restaurant, and the same girl. She doesn't tell me that she's out with the homeboy. The guy who I end up talking to tells me, this is almost 4 years ago. No, this story is like 2.5 years old. So, we go out, we hang out. She ends up going to Palm Springs with the homeboy. While they're in Palm Springs, mind you, I have no idea, but I see on her Instagram, she's somewhere that doesn't look like LA. But I don't think that I just saw, and I just kept like scrolling. I'm like, what am I asking you? Where the hell you at? You didn't tell me anyway. So whatever, it's nothing. I'll find out later what you was doing, I guess, maybe, or not, which was not. He was like, hey, Tiff, we out eating breakfast or whatever. And he was like, yeah, such and such. He was like, how well does Tiffany know that girl? And I'm like, what? Like, why would somebody say that if that person that they're talking about didn't say something negative about me? And I was like, huh? And he was like, yeah, he was like, that's like what the hell? Like, and he's an older guy. So he was just like, these women, they really just be super catty, and whatever she said, you shouldn't even care. I was like, I don't care, because I'm not even asking you what was said or whatever, but I'm noting that as well in the, like, she is tired. I'm tired of, like, the snake chicks. Like, y'all just snakes, like, for no reason. You know? Like, for no reason. And I don't even think the girl is a bad person. I just think that maybe she's threatened by me, you know? I don't want to get into the logistics of a race, because that's just so, like, I can't stand the race stuff. But they do tend to say that some women of the Caucasian culture tend to be threatened by black women. I don't know. I'm not getting into none of that, you know. But in these situations, I'm starting to think that maybe that's what it is, because I'm never invited. I'm always the one to invite you. And this is just so petty, but it's like, it has to be talked about, because it's like, why do you want to be that girl? Why do you want to be that girl? Why do you want to be that girl that doesn't invite your homegirl out when you go out, and your homegirl's like, it just kind of comes off like, because you don't want me to be the showstopper? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And then maybe that's just the type of woman she is, and that's why she doesn't have a lot of friends, or she doesn't call me. I have no idea. It just makes me, it just weirds me out, but it just makes me kind of like, you know, like, are you really a good person, or are you just a fucking bitch? With the motive. Because if I meet somebody with my friends or whatever, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, you know that guy that we met? He was so cool. I went to such and such with him, and I did this, and he did this, and oh my God. Or I'm going to be like, oh my God, it was the disastrous date. Girl, you still talking to his friend? Right? Because that's what guys do too. They be like, yo, I smashed homegirl, blah, 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 blah. They just tell. They tell. I don't know. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on, okay? I'm gonna put my glasses on for this one, because I don't want to start crying in front of y'all, and I might. Let's talk about Pierre. Pierre Woods. That's my brother. That's my older brother. That is my hero, and always been forever and ever. Amen. And I call him a God regardless of what his lifestyle is or whatever, because it took me a long time to realize that, even though I knew he was really special when we were little, but where his life has turned now has just been like, woof. And so he is an addict or whatever. But it all like came from like my father dying abruptly, and it's really hard to talk about that one. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to talk about this one, because he saved my life so many times. Like, he pulled me from under a train when we were like, I think I was like 13. He was 15, and like we used to jump trains in Chicago, and like he pulled me from under the train. We almost got kidnapped in Chicago. And he saved us. Like, these stories are like, he always knows when it's like it's time to go. Like, he just has that instinct. Me, I'll be like, no, let's go party. It's time to party. I'm just ready to. No, like, it'd be a party, and then like 5 minutes later he'd be like, let's go. And it's like, what? like, we just started. Like, we ain't even at that location yet. Like, what? And he'd be like, no, let's go. It's time to go. Like, he just had that about him where he could just, and so, when I say he's a God, I say that because he would show up for me while he would be high off drugs in the streets of Vegas. Like, he would just show, like, I would be crying or whatever. He would snap out of his drugs, like, turn it off and just, like, talk. And he always had the right things to say. And so I'm saying this because no matter what somebody does with their life, like what they're doing, if you judge them for that, like, you can't judge, like, you cannot judge, because you can find yourself in that situation. You can find somebody who you're close to in that situation. And you really got to be in tune and in this heightened area of your whole physical being to understand, like, who people are and the impact that they're have in your life, or what they're put here for, and I judged him. I was mad at him for a long time for the drugs and everything, and then here I am, like, party patty. Drugs, alcohol, like, just doing all kinds of crazy stuff, trying to numb the pain, exactly what he was doing. And now I understand. Now I'm so grateful. And, like, I'm so sorry for not showing up for him how he showed up for me, because I was so selfish, thinking like, oh, you not showing up for me, I'm your little sister, you're supposed to be showing up. And I have a lot of hurt, because I feel like I should have been there for him instead of, like, being upset. And so I'm talking about it because I have to. And I'm talking about it because it's helping me, like, release all of it. I've written stories about it. I've written stories about him. I've written papers, just trying to get it out, And, like, maybe when I see him, I can talk to him about it. But it's really hurtful. And it's really painful. And I'll tell you guys more stories later about me and his life. Are really interesting stories. And I will tell you the story about us being kidnapped. Well, almost. Like, we was right there. The guy was like, yeah, my brother was like, oh, hell no. And so I'll get into that another time or whatever, but I just wanted to get on here and do my first episode. And I hope you guys stick around for more truth. Thanks for watching Storytime with Tiffany.